Good morning, good morning. It's morning. We made it. Give thanks. And I want to welcome you to episode 4 of So Fresh, So CLE. I am Eris, Eady, and I am here just to give you your morning update. And so I am so excited to be here with y'all today. We got a lot to get through. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. And so let's just start with what it is. All right. So Power jumped off for the premiere of season 6 yesterday. And if you have not watched it, I'm going to do my best not to offer any spoilers, but there's a lot going on. I will say some stuff popped off with Angela you're going to want to find out about. And then, I'm looking at Lakeisha, and this is not even really a spoiler, but it really comes down to, this ride or die chick, this ride or die mentality, and what it really means to be ride or die. Because I'm just like, where are we going, and why do I have to die? And I really need Lakeisha to start asking those questions. All right. So moving on, we're gonna go over to talk about the Browns. Yes, I have on my Browns colored inspired Cleveland t-shirt. But yeah, we took an L last week to the Buccaneers. We lost 12-13. But despite it all, our defense did what it had to do. The Bucs were held to 19 yards rushing and 10 carries. That's not a bad look. So even though our offense got some things to do, y'all, I still think we're gonna be all right. We won the first 2 games of the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. We play the Lions on Thursday, and so I'm hoping for great things when we go up against Detroit. So next up, the word of the day, according to dictionary.com, is electorate. Electorate are a body of voters who vote for things. This is just a good moment to pause. If you are not registered to vote, please get registered to vote. It's very, very necessary. And when it comes to Cuyahoga County specifically, this upcoming November, there's a couple different cities who are looking for tax increases in the upcoming election. Now, some of these tax reasons are for schools, some of them are for like roads, things of that nature, but see what's happening in your area. So I know Tri-C has something on that we're going to be voting on in November to try to keep tuition affordable. That's really, really, really important because we have a lot of students who go from these Cuyahoga County area schools who are in high school and they do early college. And so we really want to continue to make this affordable to them because that gives them an extra leg up. Hopefully coming out of high school with 2 years of college already under their belt, that sets them up in a lot more positive way. So keep a lookout for what Tri-C is voting on for taxes. Olmsted Township is looking for fire, EMS, and police. Euclid schools and Euclid proper are looking for some tax levies as well as independent schools, Parma and Cleveland Heights. So just keep a lookout for all of that. Of course, we're going to go over the new music real quick. I know I switch real fast on y'all, but I want to be able to make this quick, accessible, and get out y'all way. So when it comes to new music, Jidenna just dropped a new album. It is amazing. He is amazing. He had a really great interview on the Breakfast Club that really explains where he came from on it. I think it's called 85 to Africa, and it got me thinking, like, if there really was a road, like if we could take a road trip to Africa, I think black folks would have been there. We would have been on that side of the land. If all I had to do was hop in a whip, I definitely would have been there. So check out Jidenna's new music. Coming up next, we are officially in tropical storm season. I think there are some storms brewing around in the Florida area, but we know that global warming is real and its impact impacts black and brown and poor folks first. And speaking of which, our president, which I just can't keep his name out my mouth, he suggested that we use nuclear bombs to alter the storms. For real? Like, the thing that frustrates me the most is how much money and how much resources go into, 1, telling him that he's wrong, 2, reporting about the fact that he's wrong. Like, what? Yeah. So that's happening. Going more globally, so the tensions in Hong Kong are real right now. So there's been some protests, and these protests have been happening for about 11 weeks. And the reason that these protests in Hong Kong jumped off is because, from what I understand, Hong Kong wants to make changes to their extradition laws. And so it says, proposed extradition law that would have allowed, people from the mainland, people from Hong Kong to be sent to the mainland for trial. So since then, protesters had a list of grievances, including the demand that Hong Kong's appointed leader step down, so that's Carrie Lam, and that an inquiry into alleged police brutality against protesters be opened. So just keep your eyes open to the things that are happening in Hong Kong, because I think that when we see what's happening on a global level, it gives us insight to what could happen here and happen in other places as well. Next, there was an asthma study, which really kind of has me uneasy. And what they're saying is that among patients ages 12 years and older in a study with people with mild persistent asthma, more than half did just as well or better on a placebo as they did on a steroid inhaler used twice a day to prevent symptoms. Here's what always makes me nervous about these types of studies. They say, oh, well, this happened. You can use a placebo. There's nothing that's really that wrong with you. What happens is that I think it impacts Black and brown folks the most. As a person who has mild persistent asthma, when I need my inhaler, I need my inhaler. When I need to breathe, I need to breathe. And it's troubling to think that someone thinks that something as simple as a placebo could intervene and save my life when that's really not the case. And so, I'm always just really, really fine-tuned to studies like this, because it changes how doctors choose to diagnose and how they choose to treat patients. And we already know that we are a deficiency when it comes to being Black and brown folks, when it comes to be treated ethically and equitably by the medical field. And so, I'm watching that very closely as a person who has very persistent asthma. Next, let's go over to Florida man. There's always a Florida man, but this case right here. So I want to say about last year, maybe it was 2017, there was a man in Florida who shot someone just right outside of a convenience store over a parking spot. It was straight trash. The man was white. The other man was Black. He tried to use stand your ground as defense. And so he was found guilty despite the stand your ground defense. And then the law, as described by Associated Press, is a lengthy one that generally says the shooting is justified if a reasonable person under those circumstances would believe they are in danger of great bodily harm. But it also says the shooter could not have instigated the altercation. So what that really translates to is worry about yourself. So had he not gone out of his way to have a whole conversation with this person in this handicap spot, this would not have occurred altogether. And over again, we see these people who use the stand your ground defense to try to go and initiate contact and initiate an altercation when that should not be the case at all. And so I'm hoping that this sets the precedent for people to worry about yourself. All right. So moving on from that, just a quick headline. I haven't dug into it much yet, but it says California says its cannabis revenue has fallen short of estimates despite gains. What this means is they are taxing on taxing, and people are still like, you know what? I think I'm going to reach out to my local plug because y'all are tripping with the cost and all of those things. I've seen some of those dispensaries in California, and they are beautiful and they are nice. The customer service is great, but it's expensive in there. And so, of course, people are going to use their local neighborhood connections to be able to get done what they need to get done. And so this is something that we always have to be watching as the world and as the country moves towards more legalization for cannabis across the board. Also, what happened over the weekend or late on Friday, David Koch from the Koch Brothers, the conservative billionaire, he passed away. And so I'm really curious about what this means for the infrastructure of the country, because a lot of the Koch brothers politics really revolve around like cars and roads and coal and non-renewable energies and all these other things that I'm not very hyper aware about. You're gonna have to reach out to Chanel Nicole Smith for those things, because I'm not as astute about them. But what does this mean for 2020? That there is one less brother who is really backing a lot of what's happening in the political world. And so, it's a great time for us to get out, to get registered, and to really activate our voice around these issues. So register to vote. Please, please, please register to vote. And then last but not least, I just got a quick update from my mama. She said Meyer. Y'all know Myers there's one in Stowe in Kent area. There's one in Mentor as well. And I think the other one is like out in Avon Lake. But she said they got the best chicken. So y'all take that. I trust my mama when it comes to chicken because I love chicken. So I guess it's really fresh and really good, and you want to buy it from there. So I want to thank y'all so much. Oh, and there's one more thing that's happening. My bad. Before we jump off, there's one more thing that's happening in East Cleveland. Oh boy. Let me try to find this real quick. So basically, what's happening in East Cleveland? I think it's Mariah lawsuit. I can't find it. I'm going to report about it on Wednesday when I get all the details. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mariah Crenshaw or whatever, she is. She's doing some awesome activism work in the city, for the city of East Cleveland, just advocating against these police who are not trained properly. And so she's basically saying all of the officers there are not equipped to do what they are doing, and should be in jail. And so as soon as I find that article, I'm going to make sure to report at length about it, and maybe I can have a conversation with Mariah about it on Wednesday. So I hope y'all are having a beautiful, beautiful day. It is Monday. We made it. Give thanks. There is a lot to be thankful for. I hope you are loving yourself. I hope you are loving others as well. And that's all I got. Be easy, y'all. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to So Fresh, So Clean. Once again, I'm your host, Eris Eady. I hope that you've enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment, because I can't do this without you. Peace. Vinay Media, connecting the dots.